Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Of course, it is the Easter Monday. Today is a holiday, and we are asking you, how has your holiday gone? Or right from Friday up until now, how has it gone for you? And how has the celebrations and the impact of Christ been for you? I hope you've had a restful weekend. Let me welcome you back into the week. It actually begins tomorrow because today is a holiday, but officially we are live on air tonight, and we are bringing you a very peculiar topic tonight, and we hope that we're able to serialize these kinds of topics, and for large corporate entities, for small and medium enterprise entities, for even your personal self. Do you understand what is called strategic management? Do you strategize at all? The entire year, have you strategized? Have you planned your year? Have you set objectives for yourself? Have you done things that you will be looking at, which by the end of the year, you're going to mark yourself by and to see whether you've been able to achieve all of them? Tonight, we host one very key professor from the University of Ghana Business School. In fact, the head of the department for the Organization and Human Resource Management Department at the University of Ghana Business School. His name is Professor OBI BERKO. We get the opportunity to host him and ask him what exactly is strategic management. We see lots of corporate entities put some of these up in the dailies and on TV and so on and so forth, and tell us about their plans for the whole year. Tonight, we ask him what exactly it is, whether companies here in Ghana and in Africa go by it, and see the details of all of these. You want to stay with us? Our phone numbers are scrolling on the screen. Please, you are not allowed to call. You can put up your text messages, share your concerns with us. And let me remind you that we are coming your way live from our studios here at Rich in Accra. And I am Kwesi Free, of course, your host for The Bottomline. I'll be right back. Stay with me. You're welcome back from the break. So this is The Bottomline, and I've told you earlier on that tonight we are looking at strategic management, primarily for large corporate entities, but also, of course, for small enterprises and for everybody. And I am privileged to be hosting, and let me put this across that, well, he's been my lecturer, and I have learned a lot from him, but let me, at least full disclosure to everyone that he is my lecturer, so I'll be a little bit biased. But we are looking specifically at what strategic management is. Let me welcome Professor OBI BERKO here into the studio. Prof, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, excellent.
And it's been a while.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We saw the pressure we gave you when we were back in school. But I hope all is going on well.
Yeah, not too bad at all.
And the business school is also going on.
Yeah, not too bad.
Right. So tonight, we want to be asking you some questions, but we do also acknowledge that we want you to do this in a form of a presentation so that those who are learning, whether in the corporate setup, whether in the small entity setups or wherever they are, can be able to learn it properly and follow the discourse as well. I'm going to ask you what strategic management is. And then I'll come back into the details of who you are, the kind of life you've led, what you've been through, and the papers you've written and so on and so forth. What is strategic management?
Okay, thank you so much. All right, I mean, just like you know that I've already tutored you before. Yeah, so in the business school, we run a lot of programs. Yes, and then one of them is strategic management. So there are two things in there. Theoretically, we call it strategic management. But in practice, companies do not do strategic management. But what comes out of that is what we call strategic plans. So people are more familiar with strategic plans in corporate world as opposed to strategic management. So we teach strategic management in the business school, and then the output for corporations out there is the strategic plan.
I'm going to ask you how long we've been doing this, and I can say that you look very young. We have interacted with you, and to be a professor is not an easy task. To get a first degree, get a master's, get a PhD, write all the papers you need to write and become a professor, and to have lectured at least for all these number of years in the business school. I mean, what's the life journey?
So it's a matter of what you set yourself to do. Yeah. So it looks as if that as a person, I had interest in doing what I'm doing. Exactly. So when I set myself to do that, I mean, right on, I began, and that's how come I'm in it.
You always wanted
So
to
I
be a
gave it
lecturer?
all. Yes, my
Right from your primary or
I had
university days?
let's say I think that so I when I finished first degree, yes, I got the opportunity to be doing TA. Exactly. So that's how come I kind of developed the interest in doing what I'm doing. And I mean, since then I've been on it, and that's how come I'm doing what I'm doing now.
So what we are going to do is to allow you get to the screen, and then we'll go straight into the. So you may leave your seat now,
Okay, right.
and then walk to the screen. So Professor OBI BERKO, we'll get to the screen now, and we can go through. There is a PowerPoint presentation, but however, what we are going to do tonight is to do specifically strategic management and the challenges with organizations in strategic management and how they work around it, how they go through it, and how they even overcome the challenges that abound in their organizations, and the planning, stages of planning, actions in planning, and everything that happens with strategic management. So we are going to go to him when he is ready with the very first slide. And I started by asking what strategic management is. And he's explained to us that a lot of corporate entities do some kind of semblance of strategic management, but they end up running with a plan, and some of them don't achieve what they have to achieve by the end of the year, and some do actually achieve what they are required to achieve by the end of the year. You can tweet at me at Kwesi Efree on Twitter. You can follow me on Facebook, Chairman Kwesi Efree. You can also follow me on Instagram at Kwesi Efree. And of course, we are live on Metro TV news page as well. All of them on social media. On DSTV, we are live on channel 277. So I go straight to Professor OBI BERKO now. And we are behaving as if we are in the classroom. And I see that, of course, what we are talking about is successful workplace management, making a strategic plan every staff's job description in your organization. Prof, I'm sure I can allow you to take us along for about 5 or 10 minutes through your presentations, and I'll come back to the questions I have.
Okay, all right. Okay, so yeah, just like I said, I'm so much happy to be here. Yeah, I'm with the Lagos Business School, and what I'm going to talk about it today, I have been doing it for some time. Exactly. And an aspect which I think that with regard to cooperation is of importance is what I'm talking about now. And it's about, so again, like I said, strategic management, strategic plans, they have a lot of dimensions, thousands and one. But I think that a dimension that I think is so practical, which is needful to organization, is an aspect of how do institutions ensure that everybody's job description is based on the strategic plan that they run. Yeah, that is what is really driving me, because over the years, I'm seeing that I think that there ought to be a clarity when it comes to that. So a lot of the things I'm going to talk about, if people are listening to me, they will know that strategic management or strategic plan has a lot of dimensions, but what I've selected to talk about this evening is focusing on working with strategic plan and how do institutions ensure that that becomes everybody's job description.
So I am particular about this because there are lots of companies, especially the public institutions, who have their staff coming to work and sitting by the computer doing Facebook and or Instagram or social media and don't really have anything to do, because when you ask them, they say they don't know what they are even in the institution for, their job description and so on. But let me allow you now to go.
Okay, exactly. So like I said, so why I'm really focusing on making strategic plans, the job description of every worker, is informed by things like this. Like I said, I'm doing what I'm doing between close to 9 to 10 years. Exactly. So I have some experience. And the interesting aspect is that the experience that I've gathered is now with junior workers, neither is it with perhaps shop floor workers. It has to do with executives, people that lead the organizations. And again, from whether people are doing executive MBA, whether they're doing economics, policy management, whether they're doing regular MBA. We've been getting a lot of leaders, corporate executive, and what have you. And I've gathered a lot of experience, and that's what I'm going to share. So
it has to go. Okay, right.
Right. Okay. Now, so again, a key point I like to bring out is that I have been observing that today, when I came in, I saw vision statement in front of your door, right? And I read it, and I was asking myself that to what extent is this to be led out here? So you could see that today, strategic plans has become very popular. Almost every medium to large scale organizations have it. All right, every organization have. But the question is that even though every company is going for that one, but I kind of, based on what I do, observe that there's a lot of problem when it comes to working with these plans, which in our language we call it implementing a strategic plan. All right? My observation in the last 9 to 10 years have been that there's really, really a problem when it comes to working with your strategic plan.
So people actually go to Royal Senchi, Aqua Safari, or out of their jurisdictions, go and have meetings and form the strategic plans. But when they come back to implement them in the offices, it doesn't work. That's what you're saying.
Yes, and we got that observation based on the interactions we have with the executive, because the assumption is that something you practice it at the corporate setting. I mean, you shouldn't have any challenge talking about it, all right? But oftentimes, what tends to happen, that even those that would think that they own the report, all right, they kind of have challenges in articulating it, running with it, giving us an examples, all right? And it's recurring every now and then, and I think that is really a problem. All right, for us to come on air, just to come and add to what corporate Ghana is doing, again,
important.
From where I sit.
Important, very important.
So
you can.
Yeah, that's part of the motivations, okay. All right, now, again, I'm going to just... you can maybe... okay. Great. All right, fine. So I will begin by these are some of the pointers giving me the edge to come here. All right, now look at this. So oftentimes, right, in our executive program, because it's practice, we often try to perhaps pick a component of a strategic plan, and we will try and ask executives. So for example, one of the dominant themes in every strategic plans worldwide is known as strategic pillars. So on a typical interaction with the executive, you want to find out, please, there's something called strategic pillars, right? Is it possible anybody can share the experience with regard to how they use this at their place of work? This is very practical, so practically based. And more often than not, we get a challenge, all right? We get a challenge. Meanwhile, if you're to do a sample and you go to institution, you're likely to identify that in every institution's plan, this concept I'm mentioning is dominant, it's right there. So if we pick this one and we're discussing it, the assumption is that we have to get a lot of examples, a lot of suggestions, and that has not been the case. In fact, sometimes what we even do that we can just log on to FM's website and maybe look at the content of the mission, and in the class we will say, okay, we got this one in your mission statement or something. Please, can you share your thought as to how your company is going about it out there? And trust me, that also becomes a problem. And like I said, I've been doing this over time, and that has been a recurring issue. So I'm thinking that corporations are doing something wonderful. They're doing so well, but from where we sit, we can also come out to, come and add on to the good things that companies are doing. Because today, trust me, getting a strategic plan report is not a joke, all right? It's very expensive depending on where you get it from. And a lot of companies are spending huge sums of money when it comes to that. So the idea is that how can you do this one, all right? And then when it comes to working with it, it becomes a challenge. So these are some of the issues that is motivating me to come on. Like I said, you will mention something that you know that is practical, and you're not dealing with junior workers, you're dealing with executive, you're not really feeling what you're supposed to feel. It's really an issue. You can chance on an institution's website, you understand? Just, pull a concept, which is connected to their own firm.
Online.
And then you talk about, please, what about this? Can you really, because this is really right from where you're working. Can you walk us through how this is being done? And oftentimes it becomes a problem. So my own personal observation is that as far as this report is concerned, there's a little bit of a problem when it comes to how institutions work with it. And that is what has motivated me today just to come and share my experience with the corporate Ghana.
All right.
And I'm also thinking that it's not just only in Ghana, because again, it's a universal report. So there's likelihood that it runs across, right? It runs through. Okay. So now there's another case that, was very interesting. So one time, we got the opportunity to, at the business school, apart from what we do in our executive program, MBA, we also have Executive Development Center. And oftentimes, corporations send their staff for us to walk them through a number of areas. One time, we got some wonderful, very, really frontline institution, submitting their workers for us to walk them through how they really implement strategic plan effectively. And luckily for us, so they send an extract of their plan for us to use. And surprisingly, when we were discussing this, it became a challenge. Something that has been with the workers for some time. All right? It became a challenge. And by the time we were done, in fact, they said to us that, they're now going back. And then as we were going back, they have a lot of questions when they go back, they're going to pose to their executive managers, because until then, they never had an understanding of that. Meanwhile, these institutions has had this report over the years, and the assumption is that that is what they've been working with.
And have you been publishing them?
Yes. So it's really an issue. For professional purposes, I cannot really mention the institution here, though. But there's a lot of evidence out there that this is really something that we need to see what we can do. Now, again, look, at the moment, right, because again, I'm also a faculty and also do consultancy. There's a very reputable institution that we're currently helping them to do. Okay, so this strategic plan has come to an end, and they're revising it. Okay, so I'm part of the team. Now, as part of the process, what we are beginning to do is, first of all, evaluate the previous plan, all right, so that can carry us on to do the new one, all right? So in the course of the evaluation, we are putting certain questions to the senior executive, how did the previous plan, went, and the experiences. And of course, trust me, it looks as if that, people are struggling within their own firm really to give us the data that we need to really evaluate the report. And I was asking myself, how can that happen? Yeah?
Is it that they don't get the concept, or people just run a freewheel style of management, or what? With all these experiences that you've had with very big corporate institutions, what do you see the problem is? They don't subscribe to consultancy, for example. They don't train the staff or executives, or what exactly is the problem?
Yeah. So perhaps, again, we're living in Ghana, and sometimes, everybody pushes themselves out there as consultant, all right? So it's likely to be that one. And maybe also because corporations are busy themselves. When these things are outsourced, sometimes the time really to get into things that are not there until before they come to themselves, the plan is completed and it's handed over them. So, multiplicity of factors, right? Who did the report is one of them. The timing for the institution themselves to really marry into that is also an issue, I think, exactly. But I'm thinking that part of what I'm doing, by the time we'll clarify a number of things, because I'm coming from a real professional background when it comes to these things. Yeah, so it's really a problem. Not only that, I've also been asked to been asked to serve as a panel for promotional interviews for a couple of institutions in the country. Some of them were even developing strategy department. They were promoting other workers to go serve in this department. Surprising. I mean, basic questions with regard to strategy and other things. You post them during such meetings, and the so-called prospective applicant that have been promoted to serve in this department.
Don't understand.
Yes, no, there's no any idea at all. So it's really a problem, all right? It's really a problem. But just to summarize it, right? Somebody's going to ask, say, so what do you mean by a strategic plan, which is an offshoot of strategic management? And that's how come I have this on the board, okay? Just a summary, because we have a lot of reports in organizations. 1001 report, there's marketing plan, human resource, financial report. And I want to state that strategic plans is just one of the report. But what is it about? I've already said that when you learn strategic management in advanced level, the output is that you tend to know how to do a strategic plan. That has become a universal report. I think that one that comes to mind is UN 15-year SDG that everybody is know of. If you go
from the MDG goals to the SDG goals,
yeah,
medium development goals now to sustainable development goals. That is a strategic plan.
Good example of a strategic plan. So the SDG that we are all running with is a 15-year one. Wonderful example. In fact, because we are Ghanaians, I mean, if you visit online, African Union also did one, I think it's still online, which they call Agenda 2063.
Yes.
It's all over the place.
Yes.
All right? So the question then is, what does this mean? So I have a summarized
we can go back. I saw that one slide back.
Can you
okay, that's
exactly. Right. So this is really in a plain English, right? All technical stuff removed. So what do we mean when we say a strategic plan? And here, what I'm trying to say is that strategic plan is an organization-wide report. And what does it do? It presents everything the institution does. And over here, you see, I've really underlined everything. Everything means that from A to Z. All right? And if I had opportunity to go ahead, I will go ahead and say that, not just presenting what everything a firm does, but also it is the only report that summarizes everything an institution does. The only report. The only report. So, like I said, there are 1001 reports that institution, but that is how come this is so crucial, so important. One and only report that shows the A to Z of what an institution does. Talk of United Nations, talk of maybe Bank of Ghana, talk of University of Ghana, talk of EcoBank. I mean, nameless. Yeah? So the list is as endless. So that's how come this plan is so important. So look, because it is the only plan that really defines what every firm does. That's how come every institution, especially large-scale to multinational ones, are going for. Because it is used for a number of things. And somebody will ask, say, so maybe I'm doing so well with regard to what I'm doing. So what is going to be my benefit, right, if I really subscribe to what you're telling me this evening? So I also kind of have some simple outcomes that I think that whether corporations already have what I'm talking about, yeah, even though they're doing well, and they want to pose this question to me. So, yeah, we're doing well, we're making profit, okay? What they are saying, is it not just classroom, it's not just academic work? What will be my benefit if I do this? And I have a sample of them. And this is so crucial. And I'm saying that when strategic plans are done so well, number one, it becomes the best job description of every CEO. And you ask me why? The reason is simple. What are CEOs expected to do? They're the ones responsible for whatever happens in the firm.
In the organization.
Everything from A to C. So if we do not have a report that really details whatever that happens in the firm, then how can we go and then perhaps evaluate our chief executives?
So he has to take charge of for example, the marketing plan, the financial plan, the operational plan, the human resource plan, summarize everything. And of course, because the CEO is responsible for the success of the organization, the success of all of each of these plans, it becomes the job description of
definitely, absolutely, sir. So it's not something that I want to get it from a wayside, unless or otherwise we do not understand. Because look at what I've said. It's the best descriptions for CEOs everywhere in the world. Why? Because of what chief executives do, in charge of everything. So we cannot afford really to treat this report lightly. The second one says that, look, strategic plans, if they're done so well, it also becomes a performance contract between a board on one hand and the chief executive and his or her executive team on the other hand. So the question then is that we've gotten a CEO for the firm. The CEO has his or her team members. It may be a year or two, want to go and assess the performance. So how do we do that one? And I want to say that there can never be any report. I'm from the business school. The best report you can use to evaluate the performance of chief executive is the corporation strategic plan. But what about if the content is all over the place? If it is not done so well? So that tells you the importance of things like this. And that's how come in our master's program, sometimes we spend 13 weeks in walking professionals through
strategic
13 good weeks.
Planning, yes.
13 good weeks. Walking executive through.
But it means this should be something that you force, or maybe I don't know whether government should have a plan to force, for example, all government agency CEOs to come and do it.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, all things being equal. Yeah, yeah, all things being equal. All things being equal.
Even for the private sector,
yes.
To qualify to be a CEO, you should have gone through some strategy.
Exactly. And what I'm saying, they can go to every business school. All right? So these are some of the benefits. So somebody is saying that, oh, they're doing well, they're not doing this. What would they gain? I would say, yes, they're doing well. But I want to also confirm and say that they're going to do more well if they pay attention to these things. You see? Now, look at this. So the third one is trying to say that, look,
content should be what everyone should be seen doing.
You know, when I showed up here, I saw a very nice vision statement. And I was asking myself that, how is this thing being done? I believe and I know that the senior officers, behind this institution, all right, they really, they are wonderful guys, right? And I was so happy. But the assumption is that what is in front of the corporate center, ordinarily should be seen, the concept in there should be seen between every now and then. So it's not just only for dressing, all right? We need to be seen doing that one. That's all this is about.
Not for the optics.
Exactly. So the window. So what is happening right now is that there's a lot of things writing in people's strategic plans and other things that we cannot really identify it on the ground. That's really the issue. So the answer is it because we don't understand? Because look at some of the things I've outlined here. The importance of that. So look at the last but three bullet here. Key framework for interviewing, recruiting senior executives or chief executives. So say, if a chief executive has been appointed by the board, of course, there are generic questions, all right. But what do you think will be the core of the question? It's about one report driving the entire firm. It mustn't be that maybe it was designed by because I said that it ought to be the contract between the board. In fact, technically, legally, the board is the one that owns the strategic plan, legally. All right? So whenever chief executives are being appointed, this is a key report that we use to, interview them. So recruiting, interviewing chief executive, and look, again, if we want to go back and also assess the performance, it's the same report. Today, people talk about succession plan, and the assumption is that, right, this also serves as, for example, because companies could do this for 10 years, right? Maybe a chief executive term of office could be 5 or 6, which means that this document can be there for another executive person to come and continue. Okay? Look, there's a lot of benefits. Look, again, once we're using it as the recruitment framework, what it also means is that when we're building capacity of senior executive, the same report we will use. The same report. Now look at that. Again, look, whenever we are trying to do performance management in the entire firm, what do you think will be the basis? If we have a report that talks about everything the firm does, then I think that no other report will serve as a good performance management tool other than we going back. So I like people to know the benefit and the importance when these things are done so well. How do we invest as an entity? Again, technically, it is the plan which is organizational wide that should inform us what and what must we do. How do we go look for money, come fund our project? What project? It ought to be within the content of the plan. So this plan serves 1,001 purpose. Again, someday if we want to reward our staff from a chief executive to the cleaner, on what basis? The assumption is that it is the KPIs which are contained in the the strategic plan. Those are the things we're using to actually reward them. And like I said, it serves as a very important performance management framework. So there's a lot of benefit. If they are listening to me, what I like to say is that, yes, institutions are doing well, no two ways about it at all. But we're arguing and encouraging that because everybody is doing this, if they do it very well, it will impact positively on what they are currently achieving. Again, when this report is also done so well, it's a very good risk management framework. Again, whenever you have such a report, say, and you are reporting on financial transaction, netting outside this, all things being equal, because you see, if a report concerns whatever we do, then every expenditure, financial implications based on what we do ought to originate from that. So it also serves the basis of what? Financial reporting.
Right.
And again, you also want to ask, so which institution, ideally from medium to large scale organizations going, it serves a very good purpose for them. Okay.
Let me indulge you and pick a quick break. When we come back, I see demystifying strategic implementation challenges, a keynote. I'll come back to that, but let me take a quick break and come back. So if you're watching us and you're a chief executive officer, you are a human resources manager, you are in a key management position, whichever position that you are. If you are a small and scale, medium scale enterprise, even if you are a CEO for yourself, the many of you that are on Facebook, the Facebook CEOs and the social media CEOs, for all of you, this is for you. We are privileged to have Professor OBI BERKO, head of department of the organization and human resources management of the University of Ghana Business School, right here in the studio today. We are trying to analyze and understand the importance and significance of strategic planning and implementation of strategic plan. Not just planning or having the strategic management document there, but the planning and implementation of the plan. You want to stick and stay with us? We'll be right back. You're welcome back from the break. This is still the bottom line. We say business at the speed of thoughts, where you get the best of business analysis and you get the best of business dynamics across the country. And one of such is what we are doing tonight. We are trying to understand what strategic management is and how it is applied in corporate entities. So it is very key to you, if you are even a staff and you don't understand the strategic direction of your company and how the plans are being implemented, I'm sure you are lost. So you want to pay attention to what we are doing tonight. And we are here with Professor OBI BERKO. Prof, let's now come back to you. And we have tried to understand the benefits of strategic planning and the necessity of strategic planning in organizations. And I see you have demystifying strategic implementation challenges. So you have the vision statements, and you started your example by saying that when you entered Metro TV, you had seen a vision statement boldly there, and you're only hoping that it is not for the optics, but we are actually implementing and applying it. I want you to take us through these points you make and how we can apply them in our corporate setups.
Thank you so much. All right, so thank you so much. So a lot of the things I have said, all right, this is really the issue. So if you look at the examples I gave at the beginning, that we pick a concept from strategic plans related with the executive, and they were finding themselves wanting. All right? The bottom line is about this implementation. The example I gave that we're doing an evaluation for our institutions, and then the senior managers were really evaluating them. They don't seem to have knowledge about what we're asking them to do. Mm-hmm. The missing link is all about how did they implement the plan. Now, what I want to say here is that when you have strategic plans and then you're working with it, which technically we call it implementation. Now, the things I have listed here, they're so crucial. The implication is that these things that you have, right, you can say from the vision to the target that everybody does. The assumption is that it has to be something that should be seen being done. I repeat, if you want to really implement your strategic plan, the contents, concept, every phrase which is contained in any of these things that I've just outlined here should be seen happening on the ground. In other words, everybody, right from the board chair to the cleaner, should be able to run with the content of your vision right on to the target everybody does day to day. In other words, right? Okay, I'm a faculty, and we are in the 2022-2023 academic year. And this year, my bosses have given me a target. All right? So that comes under my number 5. But somebody's going to ask me, say, this target they've given you, how do you link that with the university's vision? If we cannot do that one at the university, say, we're not going anywhere. So I want to emphasize strongly, very strongly, that when it comes to the implementation, all the content that can be identified in the vision statement, mission statement, strategic pillars, long-term objective, they have to link with what everybody does every day, which we call targets, which we call annual objective, which we call long-term objective. So the technique or the trick of making sure that everybody feels your vision, everybody feels. So like United Nations has 17 SDGs. It will be really disappointing for you to go to UN's office here in Ghana, Accra, and what people are doing has nothing to do with the SDG. I don't think that will happen. In the same way then, but where from the SDG? The SDG is identified from the number 3. It is the United Nations strategic goals, strategic pillars. But they are the things that if you go to UN office, you will see people doing. Anywhere UN has a unit over there. So that is presupposing that we don't develop, listen to this, so our pillars, our missions, our visions, and leave it out there. That when I come, the driver does not know. When I come, the reception does not know. So I'm emphasizing again that the trick of getting your implementation right is that the content that you have in your vision, in your mission, in your goals or pillars, in your long-term objective, that is what should be seen, being done daily.
So it has to be broken down.
Yes.
So if the strategic plan is, for example, 5 years.
Yes.
You break it down to, for example, a year, how you are going to implement it in a year, and then by months, and then maybe by weeks, and then by days. For each of the departments that are supposed to produce, so for example, daily reports, weekly reports, bi-weekly reports, monthly reports, and then a yearly report.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you don't do that, you fail.
Exactly. And also the trick is that the content of what you're telling us ought to be coming from here. Like I said, you cannot have 17 SDGs. And when I come to your office, what you're doing has nothing to do with SDG. It doesn't have to happen like that. All right? I mean, we're told of SDG from poverty to climate to what have you. So implicitly, when I come to United Nations office and we go to the operational session, we should be seeing, to be hearing things about SDG, poverty.
Eradication of poverty,
exactly.
water for all, and more nutrition, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. So it will really be out of place for you to go to UN office here in Ghana. And what they are doing has nothing to do with what?
Poverty eradication, for example.
And that is what is happening with the institutions. Whenever they're doing strategic plan, they have divisions, all right? Say, you will see people, like I said, that we've been working with the executive. I'm doing this for almost 9 to 10 years right now. And we've met with executive, chief executives, 1001. All right? And I mean, oftentimes there's always a challenge. So the trick is that you have to have these things. All right? You have to have these things. But you have to make sure that what everybody does at the end of the day ought to be the content of these things. In other words, there ought to be a connection from your vision to your mission to your strategic goals. All right? Now, if I want to explain in brief, everything that ultimately, if your plan is going for, say, 5 years, the assumption is that the output you're looking for at the end of the 5 years, they say, state that one in your vision. All right? If your plan is going for, say, 5 years, then the question then is that all the ultimate, really ideal state that you are expected to get there, just summarize that one into your vision. Then the question then is that, but what should you be seen to be doing every day so that that output at the end of the 5th year, you can achieve it? Then we say, put those things in the wall, in the mission. But that one, you should be able to tell us, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And all that. It's a little bit detailed. You understand? Then you go ahead and they're trying to say, because you cannot really make the mission robust, can you identify key result areas that when we summarize everything together, it will really tell us what does the mission stand for. All right? So those aspects of the mission, you're breaking it down, which we say your key results. All right? Then we say those things have become your strategic pillars. So United Nations say that we have a vision, all right? We also have a mission, all right? However, we have key results areas consisting of 17 SDG. So, for example, Metro is likely to have a vision. Metro is likely to have a mission. But Metro is saying that we have several dimensions, IT, risk, human resource. So we have to really thematize our performance areas. Exactly. So if we identify 10, that 10 then becomes our key resource or our strategic pillars. But the assumption is that they have connection with our mission. They have connection with our vision. Then somebody will say, if one of the things that perhaps which one can find from Metro's strategic pillars is innovation, where do we begin from? Where do we start from? That is what leads us to long-term objectives. So they're trying to say, if it is 5 years, let us know how much of the innovation you can really achieve in the 3rd year. All right? But remember, the innovation is already contained in the strategic pillars.
Right.
So we're not doing anything different at all. We're now coming to the objective and we're saying that perhaps maybe research and R&D, right? You are the one supervising all our innovation. Please let us know in the next 3 years how much. And for you to do that one, you have to apply what we call the SMART framework. So the pillar, which is innovation, must then be broken down into specific quantity in year 1, specific measurable quantity, exactly. So you see, we're not doing anything different.
Achievable.
Exactly. We pick it from the pillar, which is generic, just innovation. Nobody knows what it is, all right? But when we come to the long-term objective, and we're saying that, okay, tell us, because we don't want to wait, tell us how much of the innovation you can give us. Then they will say, oh, perhaps in the next 3 years, 3 new programs. Wonderful. What are they saying? 3 years to come, 3 new programs. So the management of Metro TV will give them all the resources that they need
to develop those 3 new programs
and
over the next 3 years.
Come back and say, did you really achieve 3 programs within the 3 years? Yes or no? And they can then evaluate. So then you will also tell me that if perhaps I'm part of the R&D department with Metro, maybe I need to go and build my capacity. Yeah? Perhaps I need to offer some testings. Okay? What are we? Everybody is doing something to make sure that within the R&D, by the end of the 3rd year, we get the 3 new programs. So what are we doing? Perhaps HR is trying to say, there's a new software, we have to train everybody, otherwise the innovation will not work through all the department. So the same innovation, all right, HR is also bringing another dimension. Perhaps the marketing outfit here is trying to say that the way we communicate Metro TV said, if it's about innovation, we have to change completely. Okay, so you can come and see we are revising the banners. You can come and see. So what everybody is seeing innovation, and you will see that right from the top. So everybody is now sharing what becomes the plan. Okay, so we're not deviating from. So if you ask me from Metro, that in what way does what I do reflect my strategy, I will tell you that innovation, it's one of our strategic pillars, and the board or the management is giving us a task that 3 years, 3 new programs. So it's not like I'm somewhere, the company is somewhere, the plan that the company has is somewhere. No. Everything I'm doing is part of it. All right? If you tell the cleaner that maybe the detergent you're using is not really super scented, and we cannot be an innovative organization and do that one. And when they are using a new one, everybody knows that innovative firms, right, have a very high, nice scented stuff, right, in all the washrooms and other things. What are they doing is about innovation, so everybody can really marry it. Okay? Then eventually, the example I give is about what do we achieve in the next 4 years? And I'm saying that maybe 3 years. And I'm saying maybe 3 new programs in 3 years. But look, see, the last one is so crucial. If you're expecting us to come up with 3 new programs in the next 3 years, what should I be doing 2023 quarter 1? Right? Maybe you, the boss, will tell us that, can I get a report of how you're going to achieve those 3 new programs? Just the report of the how. If they're able to give you that one, first quarter of 2023, it is an aspect of output that you can go and measure. We've hosted a meeting, SYZ people, everybody was there, all right? And this and this and this are the things we've all agreed doing to be able to make sure that that is an output. So what we evaluate people on weekly, daily, quarterly, 6 months, 9 months, all right, within the same attainment of innovation becomes our annual objective, or we can say target, right, or short-term, or that everybody. Like I said, a while ago, that I'm giving classes to lecture, and it's part of my target this academic year. But that target, what is it? Because the university is saying that we are into excellence in teaching. So the way they told us to go to the classroom, making sure that our references are up to date, they are all measures of indicators of what is leading us to the excellence in teaching. So somebody can measure me, what I teach. Do you have current references? It's part of it. The current references in my slides is part of it. So you can really connect me with excellence in teaching at University of Ghana based on the teaching I do every day. How? Do I have current references as part of my references? And they tell us a number of things. You must make sure that when school reopens in the next 2 weeks, all your slides, everything ought to go.
Course materials are ready.
Everything. What are they? Is part of the excellence. So I know what I'm doing right at where I work to contribute to the university's excellence in teaching. All right? And you can see that it is connected. So the trick, once again, is that if you want to really achieve your strategic plan, the implementation is very crucial. And the trick is that ensure that whatever you have in your vision, in your mission, in your pillars, in your long term, that is what everybody is achieving it daily.
Right.
Daily.
I see. I think that may be in the next slide. What you're talking about, the implementation timetable as a key factor. And I see the rules of, you mentioned SMART framework in your strategic pillars, and then implementation committees that are trained in the plan with incentives. Somebody had asked me before this presentation, salaries. And I am particular about that point of, you say implementation committees that are trained in the plan with incentives. How do you explain that point?
Okay.
Maybe if we move to the next slide, I'm sure. Okay, so point number 9.
Okay, great.
Implementation committees that are trained in the plan or implementation plan with incentives.
Yeah.
How do we incentivize?
Exactly. So this is what it is. So you see, you're a busy guy. All right. So everybody is already given a description with boundaries and scope. So because you're human beings, you cannot do everything. Anytime we want to add on, we should be thinking about incentivizing you. Otherwise, we're really out of band. So we already have our description, and the firm has come up with a 5-year plan. We're working and achieving this, but I'm giving an additional rule that says that I'm part of those seeing to it that this plan is really working. It's an additional job. So from human resource point of view, I need to be given an allowance. So one of the things we need to do to make the implementation work is that after everything is done, we've communicated to everybody, we'll come and measure, we have to really set up a committee, maybe consisting of 5 or 6 or 7, tasking them and say that you're the one in charge of collating the outcome of this report. You're going to go to people, you're going to host a meeting, find out and all that, and then at a point in time, the whole company will converge and you will come and brief us. Because that is an additional work. It is nice that you really, really reward them. Very important, because you're giving them an additional work. Just like you're a head of department, you're giving a small allowance simply because, the boss can call you at any time and your colleagues are sleeping. You understand? So good, again, these are all, also best practices that companies that do well when it comes to working with their plans, they always try to create implementation committee with the leader, resources, and a whole lot of things, and also try and then reward them. So that's about that.
And then maybe I can allow you to complete, because I have to come in, I can allow you to complete the implementation.
Exactly.
Yes,
so with all that I've just said in the preview, that you have to make sure that the content in your vision, mission, pillars, long-term target is what is being done every day. Now, you see, what you do every day, you have to convert that into implementation timetable. So immediately you're graduating from your strategic pillars and you're giving them specifics, right? You're giving them some years and you're saying that, Mr. Lecturer, this semester, this is what you have to do. And then the time to do that one, the time to finish that one is all inclusive. You have to convert that one into an implementation timetable. So you get good institutions that you do strategic plan for them. They say, please try to extract an aspect of that for us as a timetable guiding us. And because I like to let people know which aspect must focus on. That is why I'm saying that, look, 4 to 5 above must be shared.
Among all departments.
Yes, all departments. And that is where you will get the implementation timetable. Why must we give it to the department? Because they're the ones doing the day-to-day. All right? Day-to-day, the IT, the human resource, the marketing, the accounting people, they're the ones going to town, procurement of, laptop for the workers. So that is where we tell them what to do, and that is where the timetable goes, okay? And again, I'm saying that the timetable, you don't forget to make sure that whether it's marketing or R&D, human resource, you give them KPIs. It's very important, and I talk about the SMART. A lot of the challenge, people don't know. Right now, we have SDG. They say poverty. They say gender. What do they mean? If you want to work with that one, the only way you can do is to run all of them through the SMART framework. Otherwise, it's not possible. Can do that one. Can do that one. So when you are connecting implementation timetable, telling people you have to do A, B, C, D based on the KPIs, you have to make use of the SMART. And I talk about the committee. So that is basically the drive, the motivation. This can be done.
How do you ensure, after all these implementation timetable, maybe through monitoring and evaluation, but how do you ensure by the end of the year that you have achieved all of these?
Exactly. So I have so there's a slide here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I say, okay, so again, every strategic plan has 3 dimensions. We have the plan itself, and then when you are working with it, which we say you are implementing. The last aspect deals with control. So like you're saying, right? So everybody is given the resources, money, this card, this, that, do this one. How do we go back? Look at that. So we have what we call controlling, right? And there are few guidelines here. So look, now, if it is 5 years, at the beginning of every year, you have to have what we call annual program of work, which is every department will extract what they are supposed to do in that year. So for example, we're in 2023. So if we have 5 or 6 or 10 business functions, IT, this, that, everybody extract what they're supposed to do in 2023. Look, we call that one annual program of work. Yeah? Now, immediately we begin implementing that. We should be monitoring. How do we do that? It could be reports weekly. It could be, it's not difficult at all. How do we monitor? It could be report. Yeah? It could be maybe survey. The company will really conclude on that one. And as we either putting it in the report weekly or monthly, we have to pause at a certain time and say, man, let's look at the content of the report, which we say periodic review. Those one, you're not doing it daily. But whoever comes in and what has happened here today, you need to document. And that one goes to the wall, the monitoring. So within the annual program of work, you're doing the monitoring daily, and you're saying that quarterly, you want to pause and look at what people are putting the data. Because otherwise, if you wait so much, something can go untoward. Then look, after you've gotten, let's say that 2023 has ended. Yeah? So you go to the drawing board and find out, so what you had, quarter 1, quarter 2, 3, 4, how far is it? Now, what you do then, we call that one annual performance review. Based on what? Based on your earlier annual program of work.
Right.
Now, we will do that for year 1. We'll do that for year 2. Then when we get to, because we say 5 years, for example, when we get to 2.5 years, we will do midterm. This time, no monitoring, no review. We will do midterm evaluation of the strategic plan. But using what? The year 1 annual report, the year 1 annual performance review, which is aggregated with what? Year 2 annual program of work.
This means what we term evaluation in a lot of organizations are wrong.
Well, that's what it is.
Because by the end of every November, getting into December, we say M&E departments are doing evaluation of the departments and submitting an M&E report, a monitoring and evaluation report. They're actually doing review.
What it is. The review ought to be monthly, quarterly, all things being equal. First quarter, half yearly, 9 months. Then when we about going to the century, whatever, we try and conclude the last month. So we go there and look into the review quarter 1 only, which is aggregate of the monitoring. Mm-hmm. We go to century, look at the review 6 months, aggregate of first quarter, 9 months, all right? So that's what we do. Then by the time that we are done, we say we have done annual, this time, not annual program of work, but annual performance review for year 1. Nice report. Everybody communicated. We'll do we put it there. And we are waiting to do the same thing in the second year. So the assumption is that when we are done for the second year and we are halfway through, then we'll spend some about maybe a week or say 5 or 3 days to really say, are we really achieving significant changes? So there, we're not doing annual performance review. We're doing midterm evaluation. Wow. Evaluation is talking about significant changes. The innovation. Are we the market leaders? Are we leading the market? Mm-hmm. What are the data saying? Mm-hmm. That is what it's about. And I think that is really a wonderful thing. And I think that because I'm going to leave this with you, especially I want people to look at the benefit, because a key question will be that, say, I'm already doing well. I could be Metro. I could be Stanchart. I could be any firm. Mm. In what way do you think that if I really subscribe to what you're saying, it's going to benefit me?
Yes.
I want people to revisit some of the benefits I have outlined. They're so wonderful.
Unfortunately, because of time, we have to land here. But you have to promise us that you're going to come back. So I'm sure we'll get you again to go into some of the details, and I'll pick each of them, maybe how to do the
we'll see how
one by one, and see how we get people to run along, especially managers who are just maybe doing a free will kind of or style of management. What happens in the day, they just run by it, and at the end of the year, there is no specific plan that they go by. But let me say thank you very much.
Excellent.
For the work today, and I'm sure that you have enjoyed the what I call the makeshift lecture in our makeshift classroom today here in the studio. Professor OBI BERKO is from the University of Ghana Business School. We do hope that we're going to get him again. All your concerns and the messages have been noted. We'll keep them so that when we get him again, we'll begin with the questions that you've sent to us and the concerns that you've sent to us and the messages that have come, and then we'll box on from there. When we get him again, I'm sure we'll go into the plans. So let me take your final words on of course, the benefits and, I mean, generally everything that we have done. And we can round up.
Excellent. Sure. So I want to thank you also for having me. But I really want to encourage institutions that there's a lot of benefit in doing these things. The only problem is that oftentimes it's not done so well.
Are you available for institutions if they are looking for people to come in?
Like I said, that I mean, in the business school, luckily for us, we have an executive development center, right, that we run programs like this. So sure, people can, and I will also be happy someday to come and try to audit the stuff that I saw
here at Metro TV,
which is content,
and to see whether it is working here at Metro
come
TV. What our plan is.
Pro bono to find out how you guys really getting things done. So
thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So Professor OBI BERKO is the head of Department for Organization and Human Resource Management Department at the University of Ghana Business School, and we are privileged to have had him tonight to give us this lecture. My name is Kwesi Afriyie. Thank you very much for watching. This is what the line we say business at the speed of thought. Good evening.